feel free to wear your casual Friday clothing pretty much any day of the week.
So, what are you doing with the rest of your life?
Catching up on some me time.
We should set up Dodge with Karen, don't you think?
It's everything I never wore.
The sky is falling. I've been with a different girl every day. They don't...
Hello? You okay?
No! I'm never gonna see my family again.
We need to go, right now. If you drive me to where I need to go, I can get you to your family. Life crisis in just under the wire.
Our untimely conclusion.
No.
It starts with a 70-mile wide asteroid named Matilda is heading toward Earth. In response, governments worldwide launch a spaceship to destroy it, but the mission fails when the ship explodes upon entering the asteroid field. With no way to stop it, the asteroid will collide with Earth in 3 weeks, wiping out all life. Married couple Dodge and Linda hear the grim news on their car radio. Dodge remains unfazed and casually comments on missing their exit. Frustrated by his indifference, Linda abandons him on the spot.
Final mission to save mankind has failed. Matilda is set to collide with Earth in exactly 3 weeks' time.
I think we missed the exit.
As the world faces its end, people start chasing bucket list dreams or making final plans. Streets fill with signs advertising everything from wild parties to companionship for the apocalypse. Mercenaries even offer services to eliminate those unable to endure the final days. Meanwhile, Dodge sticks to his dull routine. He continues going to an almost deserted gym, where he watches a news update announcing the end of cell phone services and warning that water and electricity will soon fail. Later, he drives to work, navigating heavier than usual traffic as people flee the city in search of better places to spend their final days. At the office, Dodge notices that only a few workers show up today. He answers calls from clients asking about insurance for worldwide catastrophes and attends meetings announcing promotions for everyone. Despite the offers, nobody from his group accepts because many people have stopped coming to work. When Dodge gets home, he checks his mailbox, but it's empty as always. He sees his neighbor Penny run out of her apartment after breaking up with her boyfriend, Owen, who yells at her.
You could have told me that yesterday!
Inside his apartment, Dodge finds his weekly cleaner, Elsa. He tells her she doesn't need to come anymore because of the current situation, but she misunderstands and thinks he's firing her. To avoid upsetting her further, Dodge changes his mind, and Elsa promises to return next week before leaving. Dodge drinks cough syrup and watches TV, learning that the final flight has taken off and commercial airlines are no longer operating. Private planes can still fly, but experts warn against it due to safety risks. Before bed, Dodge spots a spider in the bathroom and gets ready to kill it, but decides to let it live. That night, the spider crawls across his face while he sleeps. The next morning, Dodge wakes up with spider bites all over his face. At work, a co-worker who has just delft deletes lands on his car, leaving him shaken. A week later, with only 14 days left until the end of the world, Dodge attends a party hosted by his friend Diane. Diane's teenage son insults his parents before storming off, and they casually insult him back, no longer caring.
Hey, can I fix you a drink, son? Quit ruining my life.
Good for you, sweetie. Express yourself.
Diane's husband pulls out his exclusive cigarettes and promises to share one with Dodge. Diane remarks that it's no surprise Linda left Dodge, saying she was never happy with him. Dodge is shocked, realizing he never noticed this before.
I was thinking maybe we should set up Dodge with Karen, don't you think?
Diane insists on setting Dodge up with someone because she doesn't want him to die alone. When Dodge refuses, her husband reminds him that no one will die alone since the entire world is ending together. As the party kicks off, Diane introduces Dodge to Karen, who is dressed in fancy clothes she rarely gets to wear. Karen tries to chat with Dodge, but the conversation feels awkward, and Dodge struggles to respond. During dinner, the guests share their plans for their final days, like visiting family or completing bucket list items. Karen says she wants to spend her last days with someone special, making flirty eyes at Dodge. After dinner, the party kicks off and gets so wild that even kids are allowed to drink. Karen dances and keeps flirting with Dodge, who does his best to ignore her. A friend tells Dodge that, with the world ending, women have no standards and every man has a shot, no matter how unattractive. He brags about sleeping with tons of women last week and suggests teaming up with Dodge to seduce Karen, but Dodge refuses.
I've been with a different girl every day.
As fireworks and illegal drugs come out, Dodge reaches his limit and hides in the bathroom. Diane checks on him and shocks him by trying to kiss him. Dodge quickly rejects her and reminds her she's married, but Diane brushes it off, saying no one cares anymore. Exhausted, Dodge decides to leave early. At home, he looks at a picture of his high school sweetheart, Olivia, and reflects on his past while playing the harmonica. He stops when he hears a woman crying on the fire escape. Dodge checks and finds Penny, who hugs him tightly as she sobs. She explains she missed the last flight to the UK and can't be with her family as the world ends.
I'm never gonna see my family again. I miss the planes, all of them.
Feeling sorry for her, Dodge invites her in and offers her his cough syrup mixed with vodka. Penny offers Dodge some pot, but he declines. She explains that smoking helps her sleep and wake up because she suffers from hypersomnia, which makes her sleep through anything, even an apocalypse. They watch TV together and fall asleep on the couch. The next day, Penny keeps sleeping despite the loud TV and Elsa vacuuming nearby. Dodge pinches her nose, but it doesn't wake her, so he plays the harmonica instead. This finally wakes her up, and she says she's ready to go to her apartment. They go downstairs, and Penny gives Dodge a pile of mail. She explains that the mailman kept putting his mail in her mailbox by mistake. She had been saving it for years, but never saw him to return it. Penny mentions the only person she knew was Linda, who she thought was Dodge's roommate, because Linda was always with a boyfriend. Dodge realizes Linda had been cheating on him. Furious, he goes back to his apartment and destroys Linda's belongings. Feeling like a fool, he buys a bottle of blue liquid, goes to the park, scares away a couple of teenagers kissing, and drinks until he passes out. Dodge's plan to self-delete fails, and he wakes up perfectly healthy the next morning. He finds an abandoned dog tied to him with a note that says, "Sorry." With only 12 days left, Dodge takes the dog and heads home. As he walks through the city, he sees chaos everywhere. Fights, fires, and looting have broken out. At his apartment, Dodge feeds the dog and watches the news, learning about widespread riots. While sorting through old mail, he discovers a letter from Olivia sent months ago. In the letter, she admits she never stopped thinking about him and wanted to check on him, but she tells him not to find her because it's too late for them. Her final words reveal he was the love of her life. Suddenly, a brick crashes through his window, and building alarms blare as riots approach. Violent people fill the hallway, so Dodge grabs the dog, the harmonica, and the letter before escaping through the fire escape. He goes to Penny's apartment, where he encounters her boyfriend, Owen. Owen assumes Penny is cheating with Dodge, punches the wall in anger, and breaks his hand. Dodge ignores him, wakes Penny, and finds himself in the middle of their heated argument. Dodge finally mentions the riots, and Penny quickly grabs as many records from her collection as she can. The trio runs out of the building, and Penny offers to drive, but realizes she forgot where she parked her car. Suddenly, someone starts shooting, and Owen uses Penny as a shield to protect himself. When they find her car, Penny struggles to drive away because she isn't good at parallel parking. Owen steps out to guide her, but insults her the entire time, revealing why their relationship ended.
Cut the wheel! Cut the wheel! Fire!
Frustrated by their bickering, Dodge tells Penny he knows someone with a plane and will introduce them if she gets him out of there. Motivated, Penny finally drives away, leaving Owen behind. The next day, they run out of gas because Penny forgot to fill the tank. As they walk along the road, Penny stays optimistic, but Dodge loses his patience. He snaps, blaming her for ruining his life since her actions delayed Olivia's letter, and now he doesn't know where she is. Feeling guilty, Penny promises to help him reunite with Olivia. Determined, she starts hitchhiking, and a man named Glenn offers them a ride. As they travel together, Penny asks Glenn to share his life story. Glenn begins with his dad's childhood. Dodge hates listening, especially when Glenn admits a doctor told him he had only 6 weeks to live right before the world was ending. Glenn reveals he lost his love years ago, and after hearing about the end, he considered suicide but decided against it, fearing it would keep him out of heaven. His tone makes Dodge suspicious, especially when Dodge notices digging tools in the truck's back. Eventually, Glenn stops the truck and says he needs a bathroom break, inviting Dodge to join him. Dodge, growing more uneasy, refuses and tells Penny they might be traveling with a psycho once Glenn steps away. Penny brushes off Dodge's concerns and takes the dog outside for a walk. Glenn returns and confronts Dodge, accusing him of being a killer because of his blank expression. Dodge denies it, and Glenn apologizes, explaining that he hired a mercenary to end things for him. As Glenn laughs, the mercenary suddenly shoots him and drives off. Dodge and Penny bury Glenn using his tools and abandon the truck. Later, they find a roadside restaurant called Frenzy's and decide to stop for a drink. The waiter greets them with hugs and admits that all the workers have been smoking, leading to some wild recipe experiments. Penny and Dodge play it safe by ordering classic dishes and even get some food for the dog. Penny joins the conga line, and they share stories about their past while eating. Suddenly, the waiters surprise Dodge with a cake and a birthday song after Penny tells them it's his birthday. A waitress kisses both of them, but when the party starts getting wild, they grab the dog and leave. Back in the truck, a certain tension builds between them, and they end up getting intimate. Dodge later feels guilty because of their age difference, worrying he might have taken advantage of her. Penny reassures him that she's an adult and made her own choice. Their moment is interrupted by sirens. A cop tries to pull them over, but Penny wants to keep driving since laws don't matter anymore. Dodge insists they stop because she's smoking. He takes her cigarette and hides it in his mouth, accidentally inhaling some smoke. The cop approaches and lists everything they're doing wrong. Penny argues that it's all pointless, but the cop ignores her and arrests them anyway.
Given the current situation with the
No.
The duo meets a man in jail who was arrested for disturbing the peace with his "the end is here" sign. Penny breaks down, feeling like she's failed to keep her promise. Dodge comforts her through the bars, explaining that she didn't ruin his life. He had done that to himself long ago. As the cigarette takes effect, Dodge reveals he has no family. His mother died from a terrible illness, and his father abandoned them. He plays the harmonica until they both fall asleep. The next morning, a new cop arrives to start his shift and releases everyone. He explains that the truck has been impounded, but offers them a ride instead. Penny remembers an ex-boyfriend who lives nearby, so the cop drives them there. Dodge grows jealous when he meets Speck, a fit former military man with a bomb shelter full of military buddies. Speck, clearly still in love with Penny, gives her a satellite phone to call her family. Penny cries as she hears her parents, siblings, and baby niece for the first time. Speck tells Dodge that only Penny can stay in the shelter. Later, Penny asks Speck to lend her a car, refusing to stay behind. Speck agrees to help but tells Penny to bring it back after she keeps her promise to Dodge. They continue bonding during their trip and eventually arrive at Olivia's childhood home, but no one answers the door. Penny breaks the window to open it, and they find lots of food in the fridge, so they decide to stay the night. Dodge finds a record player, and Penny listens to her old records while she cooks. When Dodge wakes up from a nap, he shares dinner with Penny and the dog. Penny tells him more about her family, including how her dad's love for records influenced her. Then Penny checks a drawer and finds a letter from Olivia to her parents with a return address. Dodge gets excited, and they agree to visit the address the next day. That night, Dodge notices Olivia wrote his name on her childhood bed, and Penny smiles at old pictures of him in a yearbook. The next morning, they go to the address on the envelope. Dodge tells Penny to wait in the car, then goes to the house. A few seconds later, he returns and drives away. Penny is confused, and Dodge explains he didn't knock. He just left a letter. They argue when Penny demands to know what changed, and Dodge almost crashes into a line of people. Dodge and Penny leave the car and follow the line to the local beach, where people are getting baptized. They find the scene sweet, share a kiss, and join the others on the beach for a picnic, making new friends. The dog plays with the locals. Dodge teaches Penny to play the harmonica, and she learns it was a gift from his dad. They continue their journey and reach a house in the countryside. The man with the plane is Frank, Dodge's dad. Penny steps aside to give them privacy as Frank apologizes to Dodge. Dodge explains it doesn't matter anymore since the end is near. Frank insists on being kind, and the three of them enjoy a pleasant dinner, with father and son playing the harmonica together. After Penny falls asleep, Dodge carries her to the plane, telling her she's the love of his life before Frank flies off to the UK. Later, Dodge returns home with the dog. He finds a note from Karen and Elsa, who cleaned his apartment. Frustrated, he snaps at Elsa, telling her to spend the last days with her family. Elsa feels hurt, thinking of Dodge as a friend. Dodge regrets his words and asks her to come back next week as usual, even though he knows there won't be a next week. Later, Dodge watches the final TV broadcast, where the anchorman announces that the calculations were wrong and the asteroid will hit in 16 hours. The anchorman gives a heartfelt goodbye speech, and the signal is cut. Feeling sad, Dodge goes to Penny's apartment and listens to her records, recalling everything she taught him about them. He lies on the floor, waiting for the end, listening to the music until the power goes out. Suddenly, the dog barks, and Dodge is shocked to see Penny has returned. She explains she woke up during the flight and made Frank take her back. After a hug, they lie on the bed and confess their feelings for each other. To keep Penny awake and distracted by the explosions nearby, Dodge keeps talking to her, asking about her old life. The couple gazes into each other's eyes as the asteroid hits Earth, ending everything. And that's how the movie ends. What did you think of this movie? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and press the bell icon for more amazing videos. See you next time.